and just as a housekeeping issue, item number 10 tonight, which is 3018 Ash Park Point, has been continued and will not be heard tonight.
Correct.
So-
It's going to be continued to our February 22nd hearing.
February's 22nd hearing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you're here for that, you can go ahead and go home if you like, or you're welcome to stay. Okay, we're ready for our first item.
Our first item on the agenda is an appeal of a planning manager's decision or determination. On October 6, 2020, our planning manager, Mary Mosowich, made a determination that an open space track A9 of the Alaqua Homeowners Association, could be utilized by maintenance crews, employees, and contractors for purposes of the Alaqua's Homeowners Association and/or golf course maintenance of Track 9 or holes 14 and 15 of the Alaqua Golf Course, or by utility companies such as Duke Energy or their contractors for accessing Duke Energy's infrastructure and associated areas on either the HOA or golf course property. This determination was made in response to a complaint from an abutting property owner, Perry Demetrius, who is also the appellant of that decision tonight. He filed a complaint. Seminole County staff went out and inspected the property and the activities on the property, and also it was involved with code enforcement. She made a determination that the activities on the property as listed in the appeal were allowed by Seminole County Code in our open space definition. The appellant is in opposition of that determination, is in appealing it to the Board of Adjustment, which is under their purview to hear these appeals. Mary Mosowich is here to answer any questions that you may have, or myself.
Okay, do we have any questions for staff? Yes, sir.
Two questions. Read a lot of stuff that's in our packet, a lot of things that people are saying, but just to make sure I'm understanding you correctly, that the only thing that's at issue is Ms. Moskowitz's, who's a darn fine planner, her determination that this tract can be utilized for maintenance of the golf course and utilities to do their maintenance, and nothing else is at issue. Am I correct in reading it that way?
That is what it's under the appeal, yes.
All right. And then the second and last question is, has the county attorney's office rendered an opinion on that decision?
Absolutely.
And what is that decision? Or
That
opinion,
he-
I mean.
That he concurs with our planning manager's decision.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Okay. Is the applicant present? Yes, please come forward. Yeah. Right there, sir. If you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
Yep. My name is Perry Demetriadis. I live at 3400 Oakmont Terrace, Longwood, Florida.
Okay. What would you like to add to what staff has told us?
So how much time do I have?
You don't have a time limit as
Okay.
the applicant.
So yeah, as I stated, my name is Perry Demetriadis, and can I take the mask off?
Inside your glass.
Awesome. So I have been a resident of Seminole County and Alaqua Lake since 2012. In December of 2018, the HOA in my community cut out a curb and installed a 50-foot concrete driveway behind my property on designated open space. The driveway was not approved during a board meeting. My family and I were not notified that the driveway was going to be installed or that the use of the property behind my house was going to change and negatively impact our family. The HOA installed the driveway to create an access point to the adjacent property, which is also directly behind our property and is owned by the golf club. The HOA made an agreement with the golf club to create a staging area on their property. During a meeting with the HOA president, who is named Carlos Orantes, he told me that the HOA chose the golf club's property for their staging location because it is written in the Declaration of Covenants that a homeowner cannot bring a claim against the golf club for any reason. The staging area was created for a contractor who repairs sidewalks in the community, since they don't have an actual business location. So he needed a place to work and store his equipment and his materials that he was pulling up from the sidewalk repairs. Their name is Triad Holdings, and the owner also lives in Alaqua Lakes. The owner, who is named Andre Bewin, previously served on the HOA Board of Directors for 8 years. I complained to the HOA numerous times about the nuisance created because of the staging area behind our house, and after a few months, Triad Holdings stopped using the property. However, as a result of the driveway being installed, contractors continued to access Tract A9 to take breaks and use a nearby bathroom on the golf course. I contacted the HOA to help resolve the situation, and they refused to do anything about it. I then contacted the county for help, and they issued an advisory notice of violation on April 15, 2020, which states as follows: to correct the subject violation for paving a section of designated open space for the subject subdivision and creating a contractor's storage yard where not permitted, the paving must be removed and remove all contractor's storage materials and vehicles. If you read the definition of open space, it does say that you cannot pour an impervious surface on designated open space. It has to be pervious, such as crushed rocks, not concrete. So that concurs with what the planner originally stated on this violation notice. In response to the advisory notice of violation to remove the paving, the HOA hired an engineer and an attorney to address the code violation. They dug their heels in, and they provided misinformation to the county about the purpose of the driveway. They stated that the purpose of the driveway was to provide Duke Energy with access to the power lines and for the golf club to access the golf course for maintenance. I am not aware of any issues that the power company has ever had accessing the power lines behind our property. I am also not aware of any issues that the golf club has ever had accessing holes 14 or 15 for maintenance purposes. There are many access points to this area of the golf course. Aliqua Lakes was established more than 20 years ago, and the driveway was installed in December 2018. The HOA used the power lines and the golf course as excuses to justify the driveway. On June 25th, 2020, the property manager for Aliqua Lakes, who's Lindsay Thigpen, she's in attendance, sent an email to the county which states as follows: the association is still required to maintain this area weekly, she's referring to Tract A9, which requires maintenance vehicles to be on this lot as it has for the past 20 years, along with Duke and the golf course that use this area daily to reach their respective properties to complete maintenance. That claim is completely false. Duke Energy and the golf course do not use this area daily, and vehicles were not parked or staged on this lot for the last 20 years. It's completely false. I came across an email from Bill White from Seminole County dated June 12, 2020 that states as follows: even though the driveway extends well into open space, if it is utilized by Duke Energy for their access to the transmission line easement, we would not consider the driveway itself a violation. So he made his determination based on the misinformation that Lindsay Thigpen provided to the county. Additionally, there are power lines on the other side of Aliqua Lakes Boulevard, and the HOA did not install a driveway there. On July 23, 2020, the county sent an email to Lindsay Thigpen, Aliqua Lakes property manager, confirming the acceptable use of open space. So this is like about a month later after Lindsay Thigpen had sent that email to Bill White. So on July 23, 2020, a planner sent an email stating the following: Using Tract 9 for vehicle equipment access for maintenance of the golf course shall not be permitted. In order for this to be permitted, an application to amend the PD will have to be processed. As previously discussed, this application to amend the PD will be a major amendment. A public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Board of County Commission will be held. So again, on July 23rd, a planner sent an email to Lindsay Thigpen, it was Mary Robinson, who stated that using Tract 9 for vehicle equipment access for maintenance of the golf course shall not be permitted. Carlos Orantes, the board president, was not happy with that outcome, presumably because it helped restore my family's right to enjoy our property. So he requested a meeting with the county to expand the HOA's use of Tract A9. And as a result of that meeting, which I was not invited to, the county agreed to allow the golf course to traverse Tract A9 for the purpose of maintaining holes 14 and 15. Again, the golf club never had an issue maintaining holes 14 and 15 since the establishment of the community, dating back more than 20 years. There are already many access points to this area of the golf club. Do we have pictures of, did you already scroll through all the pictures? Yes. Okay. So you guys were looking at those? Mm-hmm. So it started off as a staging area, which that stopped, but the driveway was installed to create the staging area, but now it's there. So now the quote-unquote purpose of it is to give Duke Energy access to the power lines and the golf course access to the golf course, the golf club access to the golf course for maintenance purposes, which they'd never had a problem accessing before. So they basically created a shortcut behind our house, which created a nuisance for our family, and we're not happy about it. So as a potential resolution, there's, I guess, a few things that we can do here. The first thing is to revert back to the planning manager's decision on July 23rd, confirming the acceptable uses of open space, which says that the golf course cannot traverse through Tract A9 without making an amendment to the PD. Or we can limit it to once per week as a potential compromise. But the other issue too is that there's concrete that was poured, a 50-foot driveway on the designated open space. And if you read the definition of open space, it says that it needs to remain permeable in nature. I mean, it seems pretty clear to me.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Now, you understand that we, as a board, we're not hearing the concrete. You understand that correctly?
Yeah.
We don't have the authority to
I
make
realize
anybody
that.
rip out concrete or anything.
And that's another issue because the only thing that was mentioned officially about the fact that, about the driveway, it said that the driveway has to be removed in that original notice of violation letter. But the planning manager never said that it can stay officially.
Okay.
I don't see where that is.
That's
So
that you're going to have to take that up through a separate.
I understand
realm.
that. Yep.
We don't have the authority to address that.
Understood.
And we can't do anything about what used to be stored on the property. I mean, it's either there or it's
Right.
not.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the only thing
Yeah.
before us is whether or not they can traverse the property, which means cross the property for maintenance purposes.
Understood. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
I had one for you. So you had said that this was a utility getting to the high-rise for the power lines. Did we ever find out, either county or yourself, ever find out, did Duke put in a request for this to access this?
No, they did not. They did not. Actually, I reached out to Duke Energy, and someone from their company sent me an email stating how often they use the property. And they perform aerial inspections every 2 years to make sure that vegetation isn't growing near the power line. And every 3 years, they send out a pickup truck, not even a full-blown power truck, to just check to make sure that vegetation isn't growing too close to the power lines. So that basically means they're never there, which is consistent with what I've seen because I live there.
Right, slide 18, staff, if you can go back to 18 for me. Is that a cell phone tower that I
No,
see?
that's the power line.
That's the power line?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Here's where my questions are coming from. I understand and I appreciate what you're sharing about the disagreements within your community, of yourselves, other persons, the homeowners association, how this property is being used. But that's all irrelevant to what we're talking about tonight. The only conversation tonight is staff has made a determination about an interpretation of the Land Development Code. How people act after that is not before this board.
Right.
So we have an AICP certified planner for the county makes a determination interpreting the Land Development Code. The county attorney's office, in reviewing that, has said that that decision is a
Yeah.
correct interpretation of the Land Development Code. What can you share with us in the sense, from a legal perspective, from my perspective at least, that says that read of the Land Development Code is incorrect?
Yeah, so if you read the definition of open space, it refers to outdoor.
Sir, from where are you pulling that definition?
It's a definition that's in the municipality list of codes. It's the definition of open space for Seminole County. Oh, do you want me to share this with you?
No, sir.
Oh,
My question is that there's a legal determination made, what law is out there that it's incorrect?
well, it says that open space shall only be used for recreational purposes, and driving tractors behind our house to access the golf course is not recreational.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate,
A regular golf cart is recreational, but not tractors to access a golf course for maintenance purposes.
I understand that, sir. And I guess here's my question is that if staff makes a determination how a piece of property can be used, there's that.
Yeah.
Following that determination, if other people go out and do things, that's their problem and their
Yeah.
issue. So my question isn't, and what's before this board, isn't what people have, how they've just gone and run with that determination, is what can you share with us that shows that that determination
Well-
was wrong?
So, on July 23rd, 2020, Mary Robinson, who's a planner for Seminole County, sent an email to Lindsay Thigpen stating that using Track 9 for vehicle equipment access for maintenance of the golf course shall not be permitted. So that was her interpretation then, at that time. I believe, in my opinion, I think from this meeting that Carlos Orantes, the president of the HOA, called, that took place directly behind my house that I was not invited to, I think somehow during that meeting, the county was pressured to change their interpretation somehow. But that's my personal opinion. I don't really know. I can read you what the planner stated at that time on July 23rd, and I can read you the definition of open space.
Well, I guess-
And I can also state
Yes.
that there's other access points to this area of the golf course that was being used or utilized before. There was a curb there. There was a curb there before. So the golf course, these other contractors, all the stuff in the pictures never happened before because there was a curb there.
Yes, sir, I appreciate that. And I guess then my question to staff would be, could y'all please respond to the issue of an email from Ms. Robinson that seems to be contrary to what Ms. Moskowitz had said?
Yes, so for the record, Mary Moskowitz, Planning and Development Manager. Ms. Robinson is a planner for the county, and she was the initial person who went out and did the inspection. She made some information and came to a decision. After that, final decisions of the code, per the Land Development Code, come to the county manager. At that time, myself and Rebecca Hammock, who is the Development Services Director, and Ms. Robinson, we all went out to the site to gather more information. At that time, we made the determination that the site could be utilized to transverse for the purposes of maintenance for both the golf course and for maintaining that track, and for the Duke Energy.
Gotcha, thank you.
No
Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions.
You have any other questions?
So-
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Yes, sir. Would you state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, Gary Siegel, 3285 Regal Crest Drive, Longwood, Florida.
The Honorable.
Yeah, and I've lived there about 20 years, April 1st, Alco Lakes. And then about maybe 2.5 years ago, and I was a member of the golf club rather. So I played out there many, many times, walked the course tens of dozens of times. And I've never seen any traffic behind Perry's house, ever. And one day I'm coming into work, and I just noticed all these trucks coming in and out of there. I couldn't figure out what they were doing there. Of course, later on, we find out that it's a staging area for the concrete company that's doing the sidewalks out there. And then they put a curb cut. I couldn't figure out where that was going on. They put a curb cut out there, and then they put what I call the driveway that leads to nowhere. It's 50 feet long. It's on the dirt. Doesn't go anywhere. And then they had the curb cut. Now out there's boulders out there. There's where you can't get through in certain times and whatever. But I've never seen any of the golf course equipment out there at any time. All the times I played out there, I drive by his street every single day, a minimum of 2 times. Okay, and sometimes more. And I see cars out there and trucks out there in the evening sometimes. I had seen trucks overnight out there. Couldn't figure out what they're doing out there. Anyway, so what happened was when they came out to his house, they didn't invite him out there. So they heard one side of whatever the story was they were told. You heard what he said. He didn't get a chance to explain what was going on. Now, they were told it was being used for the power company, that they needed to go out there. He just explained that's not the case because they didn't have that information at the time. So, and it could be utilized from different places out there. What's happened here is your classic textbook case of kind of like this is a booster club we're dealing with, the Aliqua Lakes Homeowner Association. You got an organization that has a homeowner association. They've got a budget of $2 million they're spending out there. In this case here, the driveway, the curb cut, the engineering, the legal, to put this little thing back behind this guy's house is about 40 grand they've spent out there on this, okay? And it's run of the fashion that we don't know what's going on until we see it, what happens to get out there. For instance, we never knew it was a staging area until we got the bill, which you saw here a few minutes ago. Specifically says staging area. So none of this took place for about 17 and a half years that I've been living there. This is something brand new, something that was never required, something that was never needed. You heard what he said about the power company, and I'm going to go along with that. I agree with that entirely. And it serves no purpose whatsoever. The golf course didn't need to use it. They never used it before like that. There was no curb cut there. Now you're inviting the curb cut. You've got the open space with the driveway on it that doesn't belong there. That should have been removed a long time ago after they had put it in, and so forth. And there's some other outside issues. I'm not going to get into them with you. It's not important, I guess. But I support what he's saying, and it doesn't belong there. And what's disturbing is that they're overruling the person that came out from the county originally that made that opinion, and they're basing it on what they were told, and they never talked to the homeowner. They're standing 50 feet behind his house. And they are out there with the homeowners association president and Ms. Thigpen, who works for the homeowners association through wherever she's out of, and they had already spent about $40,000, I think, about $40,000 on this. So we think that it should be removed. We don't think it's proper. We think the original decision that was made is the proper decision, and it doesn't belong. It was never out there. And that's basically it in a nutshell. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You know I have respect for you, your service to Seminole County, and your esteemed legal career. Legal argument as to why her decision is incorrect.
Because it's almost like a political decision. The decision was made, which he read to you, and they overruled it based on when they went out and they talked to the HOA president, whatever he may or may not have said, okay? But they didn't bring him into it, and they didn't know that the power company isn't out there all the time, which was my understanding of what was represented to him. He says they're never out there. They go around and they do an aerial view, so the information they had to base it on to reverse the decision was not a proper decision. And the reality of it is, it doesn't even belong there. It doesn't fit. It's like putting a driveway behind somebody's house that was never there before, and for about 18 years, it was never there. So if you can imagine, you're living in a house, the next thing you know, there's a driveway and a curb cut behind your house, and everything is being stored back there. So we're getting rid of that, but we're still going to leave the driveway. The basis of it is because we want the power company to go back there, who doesn't need to go back there, never wanted to go back there. The other thing is the golf course. They were never going back through there either. And that's really it. So I think it's really a political decision almost, and they reversed it without talking to the homeowner, which they should have.
Yeah, thank you,
Does that
sir.
make sense? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Any questions? Okay, is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Yes. Good evening. If you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Lindsay Thigpen. I am the licensed community manager for Aliqua Lakes. Our address is 3386 Lakeview Oaks Drive, Longwood, Florida 32779. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Aliqua Lakes to basically support the planning manager's decision in what she has reviewed and decided on. And we believe that the association is in compliance to all of her requests.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak in opposition to the request? Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to affirm staff's decision.
Do we have a second? Okay, so the motion is going to die for the lack of a second. But I can't make a motion, so we're going to have to talk about this and figure something out.
I think where my thinking was coming from, and the questions I was asking was, there's a staff determination, you know, we have the code, we look at it, someone asks a question about it, here's how you interpret the code. If after, you know, draw a line there on a timeline, if after that decision is rendered, someone goes out and does something improper, something that's arguably improper, that doesn't mean that the underlying staff decision was incorrect. And what I think I'm hearing from the folks, and I have respect for what they're saying, I'm not disagreeing with what they're saying, but it sounds like a lot of people went out and did some things that maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't have done. I'm not out there, but those things don't mean that the staff's determination was incorrect.
Okay, so the issue at hand is whether or not they can allow the property to be used for, to be traversed. There's a difference between traversed and storing things there. Can we agree that far? Okay. Not storing things there and so on. Whether or not the sidewalk or the driveway should be there is not an issue. We can't decide upon that. That's out of our jurisdiction. So the question is whether the property should be allowable to have somebody cross it for maintenance purposes. They need to get a truck in there, they're allowed to drive across it.
Well, not even that. It's not whether they should or shouldn't in a sense of do we think that's a good idea or a bad idea, but was an AICP certified planner correct in her determination of just a black letter in what the land development code says?
Right.
And, you know, it's kind of like if we say someone, you know, we rule that someone can put up an 8-foot fence, and then they go out and put a 20-foot fence. That doesn't mean our determination was wrong. It means what someone, where they ran with the ball
Sure.
was wrong.
Not at this time.
I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. What you had said was, you know, there's a big difference between storing and traversing. And then our job is not to say what's right and wrong, or what Aliqua may or may not be doing right now.
Correct.
It is what,
Just the issue that's before us is crossing,
exactly.
nothing
And
else.
that's what I'm having a little stick up on, is that I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things that I think there's I see both sides of it though.
Well, I see both sides as well. So,
Would it be, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman? I'm sorry.
I want to ask the applicant a question. Sir, can you come back up, please? Sir, I know one of the things you said is you were open to maybe coming up, if it could not be, traversing the property could not be outright prohibited, you were open maybe to setting some type of conditions
Yep.
upon it. As the applicant, this is your nickel that brought us here, so I
Yep.
want your opinion.
Yep.
Would you be open to having a conversation with Alaqua Lakes Homeowners Association, maybe with the county, about setting conditions and coming back in front of us after that conversation and say if y'all could come to some type of agreement?
Absolutely, yeah. If we can't, if you would like for me to have a discussion with them in the county to try to make an arrangement.
I would
that's-
love for you to have a discussion with
Yeah.
them, so that we can at least, it's, it's hard to split a baby, so to speak.
Yep.
And we want to do the right thing by everybody.
I appreciate that.
And I would love, if y'all could work it out, then we would love to hear what y'all come up with.
Okay.
If not, then we are going to be forced to make a decision one way or the other. But I want to give every opportunity for y'all to work it out to something that's reasonable for all of you.
Yeah, I think that's a good solution. If I'm not able to resolve the issue, though, with the homeowners association, how do we reconvene? Do I?
They would schedule this for the next, well, you'll be on the schedule for the next
Right.
month's Board of
Okay.
Adjustment meeting,
Okay,
and we will have to address it one way or the other at that time.
that works. Thank you very
Does
much.
that work for you?
Can we do
it
that?
Is that,
Well, I'd like to hear from the county. We have an actual appeal before us. I don't know if we have,
well, we have the ability as a board, if we approve it, the board have to approve it. Y'all would have to motion it, and we vote on it, but we have the board ability to continue items.
The planning manager has recommended if we could possibly give it 2 months, and the reason why is because the timeline of our agenda, we'd like to be able to make that as part of the agenda and give them additional time to probably go back and forth and negotiate the conditions.
I'm okay with that, if y'all are okay with that.
I'm okay with
That works for me as
We
well,
just,
yeah.
I think he just wants to make sure there's a date certain that he knows it's going to
And
be
that
back
he
in
is,
front of us.
and that he is actually at the meeting.
Right. And we'd
That's
like-
Is the
important.
county
that
attorney's
It's his
office okay
house,
with
he
that?
needs to be there.
For the record, Paul Chipok, Deputy County Attorney. Yes, it's within your powers and discretion to continue this item to a time and date certain, and as pursuant to the recommendation of the planning manager, that would be 2 months to whatever the March meeting is. Is there a date for the March meeting?
Oh, the March
specifically?
meeting, not the April. Yeah, it's February 22nd. Is it also March 22nd? Okay.
Yeah, so continue to March 22nd, and if you made a motion in a second, that would be
Right.
sufficient to
Okay,
continue.
thank you, sir. Okay, do we have a motion to continue this to March 22nd to the meeting to give them an opportunity to talk?
so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. It carries, it's continued till March 22nd, and we look forward to hearing what you can work out, and we will deal with it then.
Good luck,
All
sir.
right, thank you, good luck to all of you. Okay, next item.
Give me just a second to get situated here. For the record, Angie Califer with Planning and Development. Item number 2 is a request for a side street south setback variance from 15 feet to 5 feet for a privacy fence in the PD Plan Development District located at 2129 Laurelwood Way. The subject property is located in the preserve at Hawks Crest subdivision and is within the San Pedro Lake Howe Reserve Plan Development PD. The property is a corner lot and is considered to have 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Laurelwood Way. The Marsh Sedge Lane side is where the variance is being sought. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. And the proposed privacy fence is 5 feet from the sidewalk and 17.5 feet from the edge of pavement. There have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present?
The applicant is on Zoom, and he's available to speak now.
Yes, this is Frank Garcia. Can you hear me at this point?
Yes.
Okay, can we get him a little
Thank you
bit
all very
louder
much for your
if
time.
possible?
Here, I can speak louder. Does that help?
That's better. Okay,
Thank you very
sir, you
much.
state your name and address for the record.
Sure. My name is Frank Garcia. My address is 2129 Laurelwood Way, Winter Park, Florida, 32792.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to add to what the staff has told us?
The staff summed it up well. The only thing I would add is if you could go back to possibly 4 of 6 of the initial piece that was shared by the staff, Angie, which was the aerial view of the property itself. I just want to state a few things here. So the development Hawks Crest by Meritage was marketed to, and the HOA states 5 feet for corner lots on the side setback for fencing. We were unaware of the 15-foot setback and were not presented with that information at the time of purchase. The other piece I'll share is the corner lot we're on is relatively unique, that it's a triangle type lot, so there is no possibility of a second 5-foot variance in the planned development on the south side of March Sedge, which would prevent any type of a tunneling situation that may occur from 2 similar setback requests in the same area, as all of the sites south of us are facing the road with the 20-foot front setback requirement. As you mentioned, the traffic engineer did not state that there was any impediment there, and this would significantly improve our land usage there and would be in uniform with other grants that we have seen approved in the Hawks Crest plan development. Any questions for the board? I appreciate your time greatly and understand that you have more important things to deal with than this. So I open it up to you all if you have any questions for me.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, is this a new, Mr. Garcia, is this a new development that's just went up?
Yes, sir. We purchased the house in April of 2020 was the contract signature, and this development is still being developed to the best of my ability in certain areas of the Hawks Crest community. So yes, it is new.
Any of your neighbors have any sort of fences like this that's gone up, that's starting to pop up, or are you the first ones coming before the board?
I'm happy to answer that. So in the Preserve, which is a subdivision of Hawks Crest, they just completed the construction in our particular subdivision. There was only one other lot, 2160 Laurelwood Way, that had a similar situation with a side lot, and that was approved by the Board of Commissioners for a variance sometime in 2020. I don't know the exact date of that, but in our subdivision, we are the only 2 lots that have this particular circumstance that has not been, or in my case, mine is the only one that has not been settled at this point.
And when you purchased the lot originally from the home builder, you were not told or were not asked or did not ask about the setback for county ordinance?
Great question. I was not informed of the county ordinance, nor did I think of asking, as the HOA specifically stated 5 feet from the sidewalk for corner lots. My assumption was that the HOA would be in accordance and in agreement with any county rules that were set forth for any type of a fence or otherwise for the lot that we purchased.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
You know, I'm a broken record on these things.
I knew you were going to say
I know.
that.
You're just waiting for it.
I was waiting.
I think the long-term effect of the continuing to add fences closer to sidewalks to our county, I just feel like we're going to look back and say, why do we create alleys? Why do we balkanize our neighborhoods? I think the Land Development Code as written had wisdom in it, and for that reason, and I'll just, I'll be repeating myself later tonight, I'd move to deny.
Okay, so we have a motion to deny the request. Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, we have any discussion? All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. The motion carries. The request is denied. Sir, you have 15 days to appeal the decision to the Board of County Commissioners. If you get with staff, they will help you with the appeal. Okay, next item.
Item number 3 is a request for a side street north setback variance from 15 feet to 7 feet for a privacy fence in the PD Plan Development District located at 418 Gleaming Andover Way. Subject property is located in the Retreat at Lake Brantley subdivision and is within the Klinger PR Plan Development. The subject property is a corner lot and is considered to have 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Gleaming Andover Way. The King and Grand Point side street side is where the variance is being sought. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. And the Lake Brantley Homeowners Association approved the request, and the proposed privacy fence is will be 7 foot from the sidewalk and 19 inches or excuse me, 19 feet from the edge of pavement, and there have not been any prior variances for the subject property. This concludes my presentation.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Yes, sir. You just come forward, please. Sir, could you state your name and address for the record?
Yes, sir. Justin Bermeley, 418 Gleaming Andover Way, that's in Longwood, 32779 Florida. Thank you, Adjustment Board, for seeing us and staff. So my wife and I built our dream home. We knew what we were getting into. It's a unique lot. We did get HOA approval for a fence. The issue is that our home, literally, the wall is on the 15-foot setback. It's about 19 feet to the street. And so what's different, it's a gated neighborhood. This is the main street to get in the neighborhood, and it is dock access and still under construction. Everybody that drives by looks right into our home, including my daughter's window, our window, and our living room. And at nighttime, you can imagine all the lights, so our blinds have just stayed shut. We actually have all our neighbors asking when we're building our fence, what's taking so long. And I actually have a neighbor that's literally right behind me has already wrote a letter as well approving this and saying, you know, he actually wants to contribute because he does not want to keep looking into the back of our houses either. So we're just asking for a small variance just to get some kind of privacy going.
Okay, any questions for the applicant?
You said it's backing, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
So you're backing up to a wall, sir. What type of wall? You said it's up within, on the, something about the 10 or 15-foot mark?
It's on a higher elevation. It's no, it's just a 15-foot setback.
Okay.
About 19 to the street total. And, you know, we were told by the builder, privacy fence wouldn't matter. There's corner lots actually that have already fences. We've been holding out knowing that we wanted to go through the county to make sure we did it the right way. And also in addition to, we do have neighbor requests and letters that have been written saying that they approve this. So we're not alone in it in the neighborhood. We're not separating ourselves from anyone else. It's kind of unique property. It literally does face the main street though. And it is in a gated community. So it's not on any main road or anything like that. And it doesn't pose any hazard. There's plenty of space to see for visibility.
Staff, I had a question. You saying that his neighbors have written letters. Have we received anything? Have the
I
county
have the
received?
letter right here.
Nothing was submitted with the application, and
Thank
we
you.
never received anything. That doesn't mean he didn't receive anything
Thank you.
to present tonight.
Do you have a, can you give a copy to staff?
Yes, absolutely. They're new neighbors that we just built, so since we submitted the application, we have newer neighbors.
And then which neighbors is that? Is the one right to the right?
No, to the right, it's the one right behind us, behind the pool screen there.
Behind the pool screen? Okay.
Yeah, you see it with the no sod?
Yeah.
There's sod there now, but,
Okay. And is this a new development as well, sir?
yes, sir.
Any other questions for the applicant?
You might be able to see there's a porta potty right actually outside of our pool screen too. It's going to stay because they're still building. Those other homes across from us are actually going up too.
Part of the joy of progress.
I know.
Yeah.
I have a 2-year-old daughter, 2.5-year-old daughter, and you know, a fence is just going to be needed. I'm not asking for much. We know that we need a variance, or we know that we're going to try to stay away as far from the road as we can, but it can't be on the wall of the house.
Okay. Any other
Any
questions?
bit will matter.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Can I ask a question
Absolutely.
of staff real quick?
Sure.
Just something I noticed. If the clerk could go back to slide 4, please. And then a question for staff. I noticed kind of on the southern parts of that block, and then also over on that west side, it looks like there's white fencing out there. Do we know whether or not that was properly permitted and with the right setbacks and all of that?
I didn't research that.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. I mean, are there any code enforcement issues going on out there that we know of?
Not
or-
that I'm aware of.
Also the northeast corner as well. I noticed the same thing, sir.
Let's clarify is that, the question is, were there any other variances granted in the area? And there's not any fence variances that have been granted in
That's what I'm
that
saying,
area.
Joe.
Yeah,
To the best of our knowledge, are we
Yes.
aware?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking
Yeah.
building permits.
Right.
right.
Yeah,
So
variances, no.
So as far as we
Permits, I
know,
have no
those
idea.
those fences are properly,
As far as we know.
as far as we know. Fair enough. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, do we have any motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. Enjoy your fence. Good luck. Okay, next item.
Item number 4 is a request for a side street north setback variance from 25 feet to 0 feet for a privacy fence in the PD Plan Development District located at 8424 Anson Way. The subject property is located in the Trinity Bay subdivision and is within the Trinity Bay Plan Development. The subject property is a corner lot and is considered to have 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Anson Way, and the Lake Burkett Lane side is where the variance is being sought. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. The proposed privacy fence will be 6 inches from the sidewalk and 11 feet from the edge of pavement. The Trinity HOA has approved the applicant's request, and there have not been any prior variances for the subject property. This concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Is there any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Yes, is there anything you would like to add? You have to come forward if you want to speak. Sir, if you state your name and address for the record.
Yes, it's Alexander Jimenez, 8424 Anson Way, Winter Park, 32792.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify that I'm simply replacing an existing fence that's,
Okay.
quite beat up, and it's my understanding that I purchased the house, signed for the closing the house this past March 2020. It was never, apparently when I requested a permit to replace the fence, it came up that a variance was needed, and didn't understand why a variance was needed for something that's already there. It seemed that the previous owner may have put up the fence without a permit, I don't know. But purchased the house in good faith. As you said, the engineer acknowledged that it's not a problem. I just simply want to beautify what is an existing ugly, beat-up fence.
Sure. Don't feel lonely. It happens all the time. Trust me. And the title companies, when they do the closing, they don't verify fences. Yeah. At least, it's rare if they do, because we hear it all the time. Okay. Is there any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion approved. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Enjoy your fence. Good luck, sir. All right, next item.
Item number 5 is a request for a side yard south setback variance from 10 feet to 7.5 feet for a pole screen enclosure in the R1AA Single Family Dwelling District located at 1241 Oxford Road. The subject property is located in the English Estates Unit 2 subdivision. The proposed screen enclosure will be 1,050 square feet and will encroach 2.5 feet into the required side yard south setback. There have not been any prior variances for the subject property. This concludes my presentation.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Good evening. If you state your name and address for the record.
Hey, my name is Shenandoah Moore, and the address is 1241 Oxford Road, Maitland, Florida 32751.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
Well, this is my contractor as well, so I just wanted him to be present. I actually wasn't really prepared to speak today. I didn't really know I had to, so cut a little coffee.
You don't have to, actually. We just want to make sure you have an opportunity if you have something you want to say.
Okay, all right, awesome. So, yeah, I guess our house was built, in the 60s at 7.5 feet from the setback. And, shoot, I'm really going to blank. I'm probably going to have him talk.
Okay, sir, if you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Dan Thompson. I'm the contractor for the screen enclosure. And his argument is
Oh, hold on, sir. What's your address?
1150 Fascio Road, DeLand, Florida.
Okay, go ahead.
His argument is the house is already 2.5 feet into the setback. We're not trying to encroach more of the property. The house has been there since the 60s. The setback says 10 feet, but his house is only 7.5. We're trying to stay, our objective is to be behind the house. We're not encroaching into the neighbor's area. See what I'm saying? We're staying in the footprint of the property. The house is what's in the property on the easement side. So we feel he has a good argument to put the screen behind the house.
Okay, so the house is legally non-conforming is your argument, and you just like to stay directly behind the house?
Yeah, he has a pool back there and he wants to screen it in. We're not going into the easement.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant or his representative? Yes, sir.
Do you know how old the pool is? Is it original with the house?
We've only been there for 2 years. I think it's 2012, I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you.
All right.
Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, next item.
Item number 6 is a request for a side street west setback variance from 25 feet to 15 feet, and 2, a side yard north setback variance from 10 feet to 5 feet for a detached garage in the R1AA Single Family Dwelling District located at 601 East Highland Street. Subject property is located in the San Lando subdivision. The proposed detached garage will be 468 square feet, and will encroach 10 feet into the required side street west setback and 5 feet into the required side yard north setback. The site plan indicates that the detached garage will encroach into the drain field. Staff has recommended that the applicant contact the health department to get approval from them if that would be okay. And they stated that they would be contacting the health department for guidance on that, and there have not been any prior variance for the subject property. This concludes my presentation.
Okay, are any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Good evening.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Okay, you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Miguel Boto. I'm at 601 East Highland Street in Altamont Springs.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
Well, we bought our home in May of last year, 2020, and our neighborhood is not being gentrified because it's a nice neighborhood, but it's an older neighborhood by the Altamont Mall. And if you drive through it, there is a lot of people that are moving out, or maybe they have passed, and people are buying the homes and updating them, making them better, improving the neighborhood. And the reason I'm saying that is that so we purchased a house, and it's been improved tremendously, and we're in need of a garage. And 2 of the points that made me think about reading outside on the binder, one was that there's no hardship to us, by not having the garage or by the variance not being accepted, and also there's no interest in the public. And we're asking to have this detached garage installed within an existing fence, which is, will be outside this garage. So we have a 6-foot fence. You really will not see the garage. I did contact the health department. I'm trying to get some information back from them so I can satisfy the request on that. This really is on our backyard, which is we're on a corner lot as well, so it'll be on our side street. But it's kind of like having 2 front front streets. We're near the garage because we have vehicles and tools and things like anybody else. It will not be a detriment to our neighborhood. If anything, it will be improving the neighborhood. A lot of the homes are being renovated, and our fence is encroaching on the areas that we're not supposed to be in. So, us being within the fence, we felt that it will be fine, acceptable, and it will not be a detriment to the community in our neighborhood.
Okay, any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Actually, I have 2 letters from neighbors that I didn't submit, but I can give them supporting us on the application. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, where are they located relative to your property, these neighbors?
So, the one is across the street on Grove, if you may, I'm gonna, this one here, and this is the very next neighbor. I went to the other 2 neighbors on the back side. This corner home is being sold, so I couldn't get a hold of their doing improvements as well. And the neighbor to that home, I just couldn't track him down. But the one across, and my very next neighbor, and the garage will be installed right here under his tree inside the fence line. So you really won't be able to see it. Sorry to keep talking, but you won't be able to see it because our fence is 6 foot. The tip of the garage will be 9 feet at the peak. So you'll see like 3 feet on that, and then it'll pretty much be hidden behind the existing fence.
Gotcha, thank you, sir.
Okay. If you go ahead and give your letters to staff. Thank you. Give her a moment so you can look at them. Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Possibly amend. If he gets final off of what staff had said with the health department, if they get the letter saying from them, then that's okay.
So you're willing,
So I could amend my motion to dependent on health department approval.
okay. So you want a motion to approve contingent upon the health department saying it's okay to
Saying
build
they
on
sign
top
off
of the drain field?
On the drain field, yeah.
Okay. So I have a question for staff.
Yes,
Since
sir.
we won't know how long it's going to take for the health department to make that decision, do we need to continue this so the health department has a chance to review it? Or can we go ahead with a motion with the contingency in there?
My opinion is that you can make a motion and make it contingent on the health department, which is going to be a requirement, part of the
site
building
plan.
permit process. So you have confidence that through that process, that approval will be required.
Okay. I'm good with it. Staff's good with it, I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
Okay. So, any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck. Make sure you give it to the health department and get their approval, because if they say no, then it's no.
Yes,
Okay, so I've been calling, but I couldn't get anybody, so I'll get a hold.
I'll get with you tomorrow.
All right. Next item, please.
Item number 7 is a request for a height variance from 6.5 feet to 8 feet for a privacy fence in the PD Plan Development District located at 1639 Augusta Way. The subject property is located in the Deer Run Unit 10 subdivision and is within the Deer Run Plan Development PD. The proposed 8-foot privacy fence will exceed the maximum required 6.5 feet maximum height requirement and by 1.5 feet, excuse me. The Deer Run HOA Association has approved the height request. And there are letters of support received from 3 of the neighbors, which is shown where they're located on the support map. And there have not been any prior variances for this subject property. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Good evening. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, David Abrams, 200 North Thornton Avenue, Orlando.
Okay.
Some of the things that this board should be aware of is that, one, this is to replace an existing fence that is 6 feet. There is no privacy that that fence affords my clients. And this is probably due to the elevation of the backyard with regard to the houses that are situated there.
How much higher is the elevation?
The elevation appears to be about 3 feet higher.
So the backyard, they're 3 feet higher than your client's yard?
The elevation is 3 feet lower. The backyard is 3 feet lower in the property to the houses.
Well, what I'm saying is, your client's property's here, their neighbors are up here, or they're down below?
No, I think it's just more of the backyard. The houses seem to be all contiguous or consistent in elevation. It's that backyard that is lower. So when the 6-foot fence is placed, it is just...
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm clear to the record. If I'm standing behind your client's property in the backyard, am I 3 feet higher?
No, 3 feet lower.
3 feet lower, so your client's house backyard is higher?
No, I'm sorry.
No, client's back, yeah. He's in a hole.
Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to be clear. They're in a hole. Everybody else is higher, so they see over a fence, so a 6-foot fence is not a 6-foot fence, it's more like a 3-foot fence.
It's more like a 3.5, 4 foot.
Okay, I just want to be clear, because normally when these come before the board, if we consider approving them, it's because of a significant height differential between them and the neighboring properties.
Right, and the neighbors, the ones that are contiguous to the property that are directly affected by this, have all approved, as did the HOA.
Okay.
Okay, so we respectfully request that the board approve this variance.
Okay, any questions for the applicant's representative? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Based on the elevation change from the backyard, I make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, next item.
Item number 8 is a request for a rear yard setback variance from 30 feet to 22 feet for an addition in the R1AA Single Family Dwelling District located at 4248 Renard Court. The subject property is located in the Fox Chase Phase 1 subdivision. The replacement patio cover addition will be 264 square feet and will encroach 8 feet into the required rear yard setback. Letters of support have been received from 2 of the neighbors, and there have not been any prior variances for the subject property. This concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Yes. Is there anything you would like to add? Sure, come on down. If you could state your name and address for the record.
Yes. Sarah Faust, 4248 Renard Court, Toledo, Florida, 32765.
Okay.
So we simply want to add that we are replacing a patio that has been there for 30 years since we purchased the house. In the time that we've lived there, we've built a pool around it to make sure that the feeling of the backyard was organic. We are simply trying to replace a falling down, rusting structure with the same material, same size.
Okay. Simple enough. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
I second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, next item.
Item number 9 is a request for a rear yard setback variance from 20 feet to 10 feet for an addition in the PD Plan Development District located at 3127 Delcrest Place. The subject property is located in Chase Groves Unit 1 subdivision, is within the Chase Groves Plan Development. The proposed aluminum screen room addition will be 252 square feet and will encroach 10 feet into the required rear yard setback. Letters of support have been received from 2 of the neighbors, and there have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Okay. Any questions for staff? All right, is the applicant present?
Yes, she is. She's available to speak.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Good evening. If you state your name and address for the record and try to speak as loud as you can, I just want to make sure I can hear you.
Hi, I'm Deborah Rizzo, and my address is 3127 Delcrest Place, Lake Mary, Florida. I bought the house back in March of 2018, and at that time it had a screened porch. And now, as a result of a bad storm last August, the entire porch was demolished and blown away. The only thing that's left is the cement foundation. So all I'm trying to do is get the porch built back the way exactly as it was. And I discovered now that I would need a variance. I didn't know anything about the property being too close or too far from where it's supposed to be. It just was built however it was built, and I just accepted it and didn't ask about any variances.
Okay. I have a question for you. When I look at the picture of your house from above, the aerial they give us, it looks like there's a structure right where you want to build. What is that?
The structure in the back is the flooring of where the screen porch used to be.
Okay. It's not apparent from the aerial. It's hard to tell what it is.
Right.
Okay. So you're basically wanting to build on top of the old footprint?
Yes, we're not making it any bigger or any smaller. And as you said, I already have letters from 2 of my neighbors approving of it.
Okay. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Yes, sir, Mr. Attaway.
Ms. Rizzo, just curious why we don't have any comment from your next door neighbors.
That's because the neighbors in my area, a lot of them are renting houses, and many of them have come and gone. The letters that I got from the 2 neighbors who are not renters are willing to approve of the whole thing. The people right next door to me on either side are renting.
Gotcha. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Thank you. Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Yes, sir. If you state your name and address for the record.
Yes, Brian Dorian, 2938 Stonewall Place. We're the contractor, Sanford, Florida.
Okay.
We're the contractor building it back, and the only thing I wanted to comment on is that the house is on the water. She had a room there originally that was completely annihilated by a tornado. She's not increasing its size toward the water. And I had no idea, of course, looking at it, because there's no line of demarcation where the lot ends and the common area begins, but it doesn't obstruct the view of the lake to the neighbor. And her house sits so far back on the lot that she has 20 feet setback, and the house is right there to almost on the setback line. So she's just trying to replace what was there on the existing concrete slab and not increasing it in size. And that's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Is there anyone else to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Oh, a second. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's approved. Okay, next item.
Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Hillary Payton, Planning and Development. Item number 10, as we spoke earlier in the meeting, is going to be continued for 3018 Park Point. They did request to be continued to the next Board of Adjustment meeting on February 22nd.
Yes.
So I'll move on to item number 11. Item number 11 is a variance request for 2858 Aloma Oaks Drive, located in the Aloma Woods subdivision. The request is for an east side street setback reduction variance from 20 feet to 14 feet for a privacy fence in the R1BB zoning district. The subject property is a corner lot and has 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Aloma Oaks Drive. The Ligustrum side is where the variance is being sought. The request is to replace an existing privacy fence with a 6-foot wood privacy fence 6 feet into the required side street setback. The privacy fence is 17 feet from the sidewalk and 25.5 feet from the edge of pavement. A letter of objection has been received from the directly affected neighbor at 5521 Ligustrum Loop. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. The Aloma Woods Phase 4 Homeowners Association has approved the fence. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions for staff?
Staff, well, who's the opposition again? I'm sorry.
5521 Ligustrum Loop. It's the directly affected neighbor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Yes. Is there anything you would like to add? Yes, sir. Come on down. If you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Kent Kuchenbecker. I live at 105 Marsh Creek Cove in Winter Springs. I represent Matt Poe, the owner of the property. It's a rental property he purchased in about 2000, and at that time, the fence was there. It's rotted, falling apart right now, and needs to be replaced.
Okay. Is that all you have?
No, I have more.
No, I'm saying it.
It was very interesting when I heard the objection from the neighbor behind, because there is a feud going on there. They actually have a fence, if you can see from the photo, their fence is directly in line with our fence, which is the dilapidated one. The reason they have an objection is because when the fence between the two properties was falling apart, which like this one is, they were trying to get us to cooperate and replace, which was our fence. I couldn't get a hold of the owner. He's in the military and was overseas, and I couldn't do anything without his permission. So they went ahead and put up a fence 2 feet into their property. And, you know, we have since torn that fence down. The hurricane actually blew it down. So now we want to replace that. I'd even offered to bring theirs back, but our fence company says it's just not going to be worth it. It'll fall apart. So we just need to replace our fence at this point. They've been obstructing us in even filling that 2-foot gap. Anytime we have a tenant there that wants to fill that, you know, they say, you know, you're not going on our lot, but they won't mow that for us either. Anyway, for us to, with this fence, if we were to put it back to where the, you know, the easement, 15 feet from the easement, or the edge of the property to where code requires it, it would be right in line with the building itself. And we have a screened porch on the back, which has a, you can kind of see the door there. It's part of the, it's under the main roof. There's a door coming out to the fence. We would close that door by putting a fence in front of it. It just wouldn't work. We'd have to redesign the screened porch. And it wouldn't meet up with their fence properly either. So it would be a hardship on the owner to do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions for the applicant's representative? Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, I'm being dense, and I don't think I listened well. Is the request to completely follow the existing footprint of the fence?
Exactly.
You're not taking what's there and moving it closer to?
No, just replacing the existing fence, the existing property line to match the same type of fence that the neighbor has. So it looks very uniform along to the side of the street, and it'll still be, well, like 15 feet from the sidewalk, I guess. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
I think the letter we received in opposition, interesting fact pattern, but I don't think it's dispositive to the fence issue, and I'd move to approve.
I second that.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Enjoy the fence. All right, next item.
Item number 12 is a variance request for 160 East Faith Terrace located in the Northwood Heights subdivision. The request is for an east side yard setback reduction from 10 feet to 7.8 feet for an addition in the R1AA zoning district. The property owner would like to enclose an existing 20.1 foot by 20.7 foot carport, converting it into an attached garage. A letter of support has been received from the directly affected neighbor at 170 East Faith Terrace. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Sir, if you state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Benjamin Harrison, 160 East Faith Terrace, Maitland 32751.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
The house was built in 1957. I've lived there for 3 years this year. Trying to enclose the carport. It was built with a 7.8 feet setback. Basically looking to enclose everything in the exact same footprint that's already there. I'm not trying to get any closer or any further away from the setback. Have a letter of support from the adjoining neighbor there. And that's it. I think it will definitely add to aesthetics for the street. There's about 5 other houses on the street of about 20 houses that have garages already. How they were achieved with setbacks, I'm not sure. And I'm looking to do it so that I can get some security. I travel for a living, and leaving my fiance there on her own is, she's looking for a fence and looking for a garage, and that's it.
Okay. 7.8 feet, that's very precise, and you're comfortable with that measurement?
I didn't take it. It was on the survey.
Okay, usually people like to round up a little bit just for...
They could have rounded to 10 if they wanted.
When that building inspector whips out the tape measure. Okay. All right, you have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck. All right, next item.
Item number 13 is a variance request for 1042 Princess Gate Boulevard located in the Howell Estates subdivision. The request is for an east side street setback reduction from 25 feet to 8 inches for a privacy fence in the R1A zoning district. The subject property is a corner lot and considered to have 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces south on Princess Gate Boulevard. The east Lundy Court side is where the variance is being sought. The request is to replace an existing 6-foot privacy fence with a new 6-foot privacy fence in the same footprint, encroaching 24 feet and 4 inches into the required 25-foot side street setback. The proposed privacy fence encroaches into a 7.5-foot utility easement, and that building permitting will be required to meet the criteria for placement with an estoppel letter. The privacy fence is 14 inches from the sidewalk and 13 feet and 4 inches from the edge of pavement. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen.
If you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Fiona Murphy. I live at 1042 Princess Gate Boulevard, Winter Park.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
Yes. The house was built in 1981. I've looked through the various permits. No permit has since been requested to replace the fence. It's a 40-year-old fence. It's very decrepit. We do need to replace it. In 2000, the owners at that time put in a pool, and all the pool maintenance equipment and electrical is run from the existing fence that faces the south side. and it's only 5 foot from the fence that is on the east side, which is where we are requesting the variance. To have the 25-foot setback would actually require the fence to be starting 3 inches in from the edge of the house, and we would lose a third of our backyard. Because we have the pool to have homeowners insurance, we have to have a secure perimeter that cannot be seen through to the attractive nuisance of the house. So we can't put any fence other than a privacy fence to maintain our homeowners insurance. The 25-foot setback would require us to redo paving that was done when we bought the house, already in existence when we bought the house in 2010. We would have to raise up the pool to completely reorient the drain and maintenance lines for the pool to meet that 25-foot setback. So we are requesting to actually just replace the existing fence in its existing place, excepting for the fence to the north, which through our process for this, we discovered was actually encroaching on our rear neighbour's yard. So we will be bringing that forward onto our property line, so we won't be encroaching on their yard. And we are aware that there is the easement requiring the estoppel letter for this fence. So it's literally just replacing what is already there.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck. All right, next item.
Item number 14 is a variance request for 593 Whittingham Place, located in the Greenwood Lake subdivision. The request is for a south side street setback reduction from 20 feet to 4 feet for a privacy fence in the Greenwood Lakes planned development. The subject property is a corner lot and has 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces west on Whittingham Place. The Wells Ford Way side is where the variance is being sought. The request is to bring into compliance the construction of a 6-foot vinyl privacy fence 16 feet into the required 20-foot side street setback. There's an open code enforcement violation, number 20-116, for the subject fence as it was constructed without a permit. The privacy fence is 4 to 5 feet from the sidewalk and 18 to 19 feet from the edge of pavement. The proposed privacy fence encroaches into a utility easement, and that building permitting will be required to meet the criteria for placement with an estoppel letter. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
All right, any questions for staff? All right, is the applicant present? Sir, if you state your name and address for the record.
Brian Wheeler, 593 Whittingham Place in Lake Mary.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
I brought several pictures of other lots on the block showing fences in kind. I do know for a fact that, at the very least with the first picture, that they also were approved for a variance for the fence. I brought just a reiteration of the FDOT design manual for border width and clear zone. The placement of the fence, despite being closer to the property line that it's supposed to be, is still well outside of the clear zone of 12 feet. There was a fence in place, very slightly off from where the replacement fence is, which was a consideration when we purchased the house 3 years ago. It was wooden and it was becoming dangerous and decrepit, which is why we replaced it. We matched our adjoining neighbor's plastic vinyl fence. They have sent in a letter of support. I didn't hear whether or not Hillary mentioned that, but it's listed as lot 22 on the site plan, so they are the only people who would be affected by it. And I believe that's all.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
So So you're saying that this fence was a little bit closer to the sidewalk than the one that it replaced?
If you look at the site plan, it starts along in line with the adjoining fence, and then it jogs in 1 foot and continues down towards the house. And all we propose to do is remove the jog, so it just continues the same line straight down.
So you're going to take that southeast corner and move it closer into the house?
The southwest corner. 1 foot further from the house.
Was that just an error by your fence contractor?
No, we wanted to remove the jog, unless you're talking about the fence. Sorry, can you pull up the site plan so I can see what you're talking about? I think I misunderstood your question.
Might have been a poorly phrased question.
All right. You can see the previous fence line. It starts in line with the proposed red line, and then it jogs in 1 foot and continues on towards the house. So we're just no longer jogging in. It continues along and ends in roughly the same place. It's just a straight line now instead of cutting in 1 foot for no reason.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? All right. Anything else, sir? All right, thank you. Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck, sir. All right, next item.
Item number 15 is a variance request for 137 West York Court, located in the Wekiva Golf Villas subdivision. The request is for a rear yard setback reduction from 15 feet to 0 feet for an accessory structure in the Wekiva Hunt Club plan development. The request is to construct an 830 square foot louvered aluminum pergola with a paver decking abutting the rear property line, encroaching entirely into the rear yard setback. The Wekiva Hunt Club Community Association Architectural Control Committee has approved this request. The letters of support have been received from 3 of the directly affected neighbors. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? All right, is the applicant present?
Hi there.
Good evening. If you state your name and address for the record.
Yes, Andy Williams, 137 West York Court in Longwood. I'm listed as Robert, that's my legal name.
Okay. What would you like to tell us?
We were hoping to add a shade structure in the back of the home. Where you see the proposed pavers down below, we already have an existing deck, so the footprint wouldn't change. You may have seen from the aerial photos, we're on a golf course, and it becomes quite sunny back there for most of the day because there's no trees, and we're just hoping to enjoy it with our family and add some shade back there. We did receive letters of support for both of our neighbors on each side, the back side of our home on each side there, and our neighbors directly across that would have the view of the structure as well.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? All right.
You're brave sitting outside on a golf course.
Very,
very brave, sir. Very brave.
I say, does it deflect golf balls? All right, thank you, sir.
This is aluminum, clank.
Oh, clank.
All right. Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion to approve. We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck.
Duck.
Yes, duck. I might have hit 1 or 2 houses in my life playing golf.
1 or 2?
Yeah. All right, next item.
Item number 16 is a variance request for 550 Quail Avenue. The request is for a front yard setback reduction from 25 feet to 0 for a privacy fence in the R1A zoning district. The subject property is a corner lot on the Orange Villa Heights subdivision. The request is to construct a 6-foot privacy fence at the front property line, encroaching entirely into the required 25-foot front yard setback. The privacy fence will be approximately 18 feet from the edge of pavement and without a sidewalk to encroach upon. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? All right, is the applicant present? Good evening.
My name is Stephen J. Mahoney, 550 Quill Avenue, Altamont Springs, 32714.
Okay, what would you like to tell us, sir?
We're just replacing an existing fence that's been there in one part for over 60 years, and it's probably the third time it's been replaced. We're just in the existing spot, and that's all we want to do, keep privacy in our property.
Okay, any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Well,
Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Do we have a motion?
move to approve.
Second. What he said.
We have a motion to approve. Jinx. Mr. Hathaway seconds. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck. All right, next item, 17.
Item number 7 is a variance request for 2641 Estuary Loop located in the Hideaway Cove at Oviedo subdivision. The request is for a west side street setback reduction from 15 feet to 8 feet for a privacy fence in the Hideaway Cove plan development. The subject property is a corner lot and has 2 front yards for setback purposes. The front of the house faces Estuary Loop. The Crystal Water Run side is where the variance is being sought. The proposed 6-foot privacy fence will be 8 feet from the sidewalk and 18 feet from the edge of pavement. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. The proposed privacy fence encroaches into a utility and sidewalk easement, and building permitting will be required to meet the criteria for placement with an estoppel letter. Letters of support have been received from 4 other property owners in the community. 2 objecting property owners have called in anonymously, citing visibility concerns since this home is in the front of the subdivision. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Okay, any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present? Good evening. Okay, if you state your name and address for the record.
My name is Karupaswamy Karupaya. I stay in 2641 Estuary Loop, Oviedo, Florida.
Okay, what would you like to tell us, sir?
We purchased this home last year, 2020, September, and we are in the corner lot, and we have a 2.5-year-old kid, and it's just right behind, there's a pond right there, and there's a construction area across the building homes, and it's a gated community. As soon as they turn to the left, it's directly like the light, everything, the noise, everything will be there for us. And in addition to that, last time when I came to present my case, I heard there's an anonymous anonymous rejecting that anonymous rejecting that we don't like it because of site visibility. So I did not know who that person was. So I don't want to just build something without getting my neighbors' input. So I did post in the Facebook within the community to get their input, and I can share the article that I put in the Facebook here for the committees, and I got the approval from whoever the neighbors who I'm talked to. And in addition to that, there is a AC unit on that side of the street, so I need to cover that as well. Excuse me. I need to cover that as well so that I can protect my equipments right there. So that the picture that I'm giving you, that's the most recent one, which has the fence. The screen, porch screen that just came in today, and then we are planning to put in a fence. Last time I came in, I asked for like 3-foot variance, but I want to be considerate, so I just went down. All that I need is a 7 feet so that I can cover that side of the area for privacy and safety for my kids and also kids in the neighborhood.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Okay, do we have a motion?
Yeah, it's what I had said before, and I have respect for what the applicant's telling us, but I don't like, especially in these newer neighborhoods, I think land development code is probably written as it is, and I don't like creating alleys and balkanization in neighborhoods, so I'd move to deny.
Okay. We have a motion to deny the request. Do we have a second?
The one thing that got me is it's backed up in a retention pond with wildlife. And that's still another thing that kind of going out and enjoying with kids or anybody else, assuming with or without kids, but the wildlife would be a concern of mine, is that we do live in the alligator, I feel like, capital of the world here, and he's even got pictures right there of coming from his backyard. And
Let me ask this.
And I guess my concern would be more for the side yard than the rear yard.
Right. The variance in front of us is for a side yard setback. It appears that you can come off the corner of the house without violating that. You lose 8 feet of the side, but you can fence it all the way to the rear of the property. So really, it's that 8-foot strip is what is what we're looking at.
yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying with the alleyway, it's just creating a tunnel, essentially,
Yeah.
of
If everybody starts doing that, it's just,
yeah. Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to deny, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, motion carries. Sir, your request is denied, but you have 15 days to appeal it to the Board of County Commission. If you want to appeal it, get with staff and they will help you do that. Okay? All right, next item.
Kathy Hamel, Development Services. Our next and final item of the agenda is located at 100 O'Brien Road. This is a special exception to allow for a mechanical garage at 100 O'Brien Road. This site previously had a special exception that was granted in the early 1980s. If any of you have been in this area for long, it was known as Roger Corvettes.
H&H Corvette.
Say it again?
H Corvette.
Oh, my goodness. I apologize. Roger Corvette was on 1792, not on O'Brien. Oh. I apologize even further.
let's start all over.
Let's start all over. Kathy Hamel, Development Services. The request before you tonight is located at 100 O'Brien Road. It used to be known as H&H Corvette. A special exception was granted in the early 1980s. The use had cease and desist. The property was being utilized for commercial purposes, I believe a pool supply company. With having 180 days, it expires. The applicant now is requesting to allow for that previous use that had been there for 20-plus years. Staff does recommend approval. We believe that this use is consistent with the other uses in the area. As you can see from the aerial, there are automotive uses and similar uses along the 1792 and O'Brien corridor. We do recommend the following conditions of approval. The special exception granted applies only to the mechanical garage within an enclosed building as depicted on the special exception site plan. Outdoor storage of vehicles used for parts is prohibited on the premises. Outdoor storage of parts, supplies, and materials associated with the mechanical garage is prohibited on the premises. The layout of the proposed uses must be substantially consistent with that which is depicted on the special exception site plan. And no building associated with the special exception may be increased more than 10%. He is currently, I believe, either in site plan review at this time or your site plan has been approved for the site, and that the development order will expire after approval unless a development permit based upon the incorporating special exception is obtained. I believe in this case, these improvements are already done, so that condition would not apply. And this concludes my presentation.
Okay, any questions for staff? All right, sir. If you state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is James Harrelson. I live at 443 Riverlau Court, Longwood. I am the property owner of 100 O'Brien Road, Fern Park, Florida, 327. What is it, 32715?
Okay. What would you like to tell us, sir?
Wow, she did a fantastic job. It had been in my family. It had been an auto repair facility from 1981 to 2019. So for 40 years, that was an auto repair facility. My father had gone into selling vehicles there around 1986 or 5, up until 2019, where he passed away. We went through a spell where trying to keep the property going, rent it to the pool company, not realizing there's a change of use, and that opens up a can of worms. The renter, with all of the changes to the property and the frontage and greenery, had basically said, you know what, that's something we signed up for. They walked away. COVID was there too, so that was on our doorstep. So trying to find another renter, I did find another renter. He is going to sell vehicles, and he does do auto repair. I was not under the impression, as my plan has been with the board since 2019, that there's a 180-day window where it's not occupied. Was not aware of that. Basically just asking that we can get a special exception to do auto repair that was done there for 40 years.
Okay. All right, any questions for the applicant? All right, sir, thank you. Is there anyone to speak in support of the request? Is there anyone to speak in opposition to the request? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
A second.
A motion to approve, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Good luck, sir. I used to visit your property 3 or 4 times a morning. I used to be a deputy sheriff on road patrol down there, and every time they opened that darn door, it set the alarm off.
I've gone down there many times.
Please fix that if it hasn't been fixed after 26 years.
It's not operational right now, so.
It's fixed.
You know Wilbur?
Yes.
Yeah, so Wilbur would always sit out in front of there and watch what was going on, so.
Yeah, well, I used to have the guy I worked with, when it got time for y'all to open, he said, well, I'm going to drift down there so I can beat the alarm.
I guess if you're going to be known for something,
There you go.
it could be worse. So
All right.
Thank you. Thank you
You
very
have
much.
good luck. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Next month, I believe we have elections. Isn't that February?
Yes, we do, and we do have, the Board of County Commissioners is going to be making new appointments. Jenny decided not to, scheduling issues, to be on
Okay.
the board anymore, so we have that opening, and then we also have a rotating opening, so we should have those next month, so we don't have this scheduling issue. So thank you, gentlemen, for coming tonight
Okay.
for a quorum.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to take this opportunity to introduce the board to one of our assistant county attorneys, Melissa Hernandez, in our effort to
Good
make
evening.
sure we're cross-trained and be able to provide you service. She is taking up some of the duties of reviewing some of the cases beforehand and is sitting in and will be a replacement as needed.
All right, well, welcome.
We still get to see your smiling face though too, right?
On occasion.
Okay,
yes.
so getting away.
Okay, the minutes.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. All right, let's go home. Good night.